So, good evening, good evening. It is evening where I'm at. You could probably see down here, 10:37. All right then. This is the Mars in the Third House video. All right then. So, let's get to it. Hi blessed, how are you? Good evening. All right then. Mars in the third house. So, to speak of the few of the more common significations, the third house is a house of struggle, particularly a struggle against one's peers and siblings and classmates and coworkers. This is not to be confused with conflict and enmity, exactly, which is what we find in the sixth house. Instead, the third house has much more to do with outshining your siblings and peers. And Mars, with its attention seeking tendencies, can create here a very competitive spirit that is always trying to outdo, outsmart, outperform everyone around it. One with such a position is always trying to be the best and to appear superior. It can even be a position that creates some degree of jealousy in the individual. If one has a sibling with Mars in the third, one may perhaps not like him or her very much, because the sibling is always attempting to steal the spotlight and is never willing to let one have one's moment because they always need to be seen. Whether they are hogging the ball in a game of soccer or even becoming the teacher's pet in class, whether for good or for bad, they find ways of calling attention to themselves and setting themselves apart from others. As another means of standing out from their siblings, friends, coworkers, or classmates, they may become purposefully contrarian, become intentionally the rebel without a cause, paint their hair blue, purposely avoid behaving in a conventional way, or having conventional interests, dress in a weird way, get many piercings in odd places, listen to strange music and unusual music. But all of this, not necessarily because they are interested in these things for their own sake, but because they so very badly wish to carve out their own identity and their own personality, so they are never perceived as common or ordinary or normal or expected or mediocre. Rahu in the third house could also create the same behavior. As yet another means of standing out and making themselves distinct, essentially. They could also wish to embody the archetype of the popular guy or popular girl, become very glamorous, wear makeup at a very young age, show up to school or work always impeccably dressed in a rather unique and easily identifiable way. A way that makes others think instantly, yup, this style is very much so and so. As yet another means of standing out, they could also become the class clown, become purposely disruptive, make noise, tell jokes frequently, enjoy practical jokes like whoopee cushions, tell fake stories to make themselves more interesting, invent their own catchphrases to make themselves more memorable, and otherwise behave chaotically. They may really enjoy logos or colors or patterns or textures or jewelry or other such decorative items that instantly separate them from everyone else. They absolutely detest being imitated because they feel like their own originality is being stolen from them. That thing that makes them, easily identifiable from a sea of twins. At its absolute worst, it can be difficult to exist in a friend group with such a one because the Mars in the third native will want to use the rest of the friend group as a sort of stool to prop themselves up, such that they are the only ones that ever get any attention or shine. They may, for example, select a specific color for themselves as their color and be mad if anyone else wears it. They may be fans of a particular music group and get upset if anyone else decides to become a fan as well. All right, let's check the chat a little bit. Blessed is just you and me. It is just you and me. Good evening, my idol. Honestly, blessed. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. All right, let us go back. Hi, Moon Cloud. Hello, Moon Cloud. Good evening. All right, then let us go back to the chat. If you guys have any questions or any comments, please feel free to add them in the chat. I read everything here. So where are we now? Interestingly, Mars in the sixth house can create best friends because one creates a team or gang that battles against the other team and gangs. But Mars in the third house can make an enemy out of everyone because one always wishes to outperform everyone around one, which can lead to a lot of animosity or jealousy. As a result of this behavior, one may eventually end up the best in whatever field one chooses, but one may also end up friendless. Not only because others may covet one's success, but also because one may not know how to create close friendships. Mars is the planet that creates division between things. Division. And so in a house of friendship, it creates enemies. But in a house of enemies like the sixth house, it creates friends. This placement can also make an individual extremely ambitious with very big dreams and the willpower to get there. It can make one laser focused and indifferent to other things in life. It can make one so ambitious that, at its worst, it can crush those who attempt to prop themselves up as obstacles for the individual. Such a placement adds to an individual's strategic ability. The third house is the house of steps and sequences, and so one would be good at making an itinerary of how to go from point A to point B, which is one of the things that facilitates that he or she always achieves whatever it is that they want. Most people don't even know where to begin, where to start as far as their journey towards getting what they want. But these guys, they have mapped out the entire trajectory. Their schemes can be simple but also elaborate and even secret, as they can conspire behind the scenes to arrive at where they wish. This is one of the most strategic placements overall, but especially the most strategic placement for Mars. Yes, Mars, people with Mars in third house, they can be quite selfish, yes. I'm not reading Michael Jackson's chart, no, but Michael Jackson, if I remember correctly, has Mars in the third house. So that's the reason why I put his picture there. Some people get upset if you like the same type of music that they like because they want to be different and they want to be original. Hi, Unicorn. What do I think led to his extreme popularity? Mars and K2 in the third house is something that really added to his popularity. And Mars was in its own sign as well in the third house, wasn't it? Yeah, that is something that definitely contributed a great deal to his popularity. Yes, definitely. Definitely. In fact, let's go check his chart a little bit to see. I don't think that his birth chart is AA verified. I don't think that it is AA verified. Over here it says DD, so not very good. Over here it says A, and the time is 7:33 p.m. Over here the time is 7:33 p.m. Okay, so over here it says DD, but over here it says A, and over here it says A as well. So apparently there's a little bit of conflicts. Some sites are not exactly sure what to make of his birth time or how accurate it is, but whatever. Apparently most sites are in agreement. Alright, Ashadabisha ascended. Purva Bhadrapada moon. Okay. And so Jupiter Mahadasha starting off in life. After Jupiter, what is it? It's Saturn. Where do we have Saturn? We have Saturn over there. After Saturn, we have Mercury. Where do we have Mercury? We have Mercury over here. And the Sun. Okay. Yeah, his having Mars in the third with K2, this position over here, a major reason why he was successful. And we'll even get into some of these reasons as we proceed. Mars in the third and Saturn in the sixth aspect each other. Is this good? Mars in the third is very much a good placement, and Saturn in the sixth is also a very, very good placement because it minimizes the sixth house. Oh, it was verified by his mother. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Mercury, Mahadasha, Rahu, and things got really bad for him. Really, what happened during this time? Was it when he was being accused of all of that awful stuff? Rahu, Mahadasha. Interesting. All right, then. Let us proceed. This placement can even produce too much ambition. An individual may achieve many things in many areas. It is a position that can produce a polymath, which is an individual whose knowledge and expertise span a wide variety of diverse disciplines, diverse subjects. Because of the excess energy in this individual, they may indeed have many hobbies and many interests, and the ability to arrive at a place of mastery in each one. Others may, Others may admire them for their broad range and abilities in many areas, which is another thing that can produce envy and animosity in those around them. These individuals easily overshadow everyone around them. It is very difficult to shine or gain attention for oneself when one is in the presence of a Mars in the third individual, especially if it is well placed. Again, others may hate the individual and decide to conspire against them, presuming they are incapable of competing directly with a Mars in the third house native. This is a position of one who may get into many fights in childhood, and indeed many conflicts overall with others. Of course, the fights may be physical, but the fights may also be verbal, and they often are. One may have a very sharp tongue and very sharp wits. One always has a comeback up one's sleeve, whether it is sarcasm or your mama jokes. Remember your mama jokes? We don't get them anymore, apparently. One is always ready with a swift repartee to cut down another person. Okay, interesting detail. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. This is going to be probably a quick live stream because the document is almost finished. I only wrote 3 pages here. It is said of the third house that it is a Trisha Daya house, along with the 6th and 11th. And these are houses that are considered evil, as they relate to the evil inclinations of desire, anger, and greed, respectively. When there are no obstacles between one and one's desires, be they physical, moral, or otherwise, one is that much more likely to destroy oneself because one goes after things without caring who it hurts or even if these things cause harm to oneself. If Mars is strong in the third, before one even has the time to process calmly the moral weights of a goal or desire, one goes after it. Such a placement may steal other people's partners, may become a literal thief, may commit acts of violence, all this because there are no breaks or limitations to one's actions. This is a placement that can easily create a spoiled brat, as it can create children that are so strong-willed that they refuse to be told no, as they will always strive for whatever it is that they want and expect it to be given to them. Or else they will climb the highest counters without assistance to attain their goal. Hi Ezra, so happy to see you here as well. So happy to see you guys here as well. How many minutes have we been here? Okay, almost 20 minutes. I see. All right then. Excuse me for yawning. Oh, this is your placement. Okay, interesting. You think that the younger brother of your groom has Mars in third house. Okay. Why? Why you're laughing? Because all of the negative parts relate to him. Okay. Personified universe. Okay. Interesting name. Uh, I wrote many things here, didn't I? All right, then. Where were we? This placement can create individuals that this placement creates an individual that is extremely articulate, not just with their words, but with their bodies as well. Displacement can create a natural dancer because every bone in their body can be bent and twisted to give expression to every impulse and every emotion. It can also create natural actors because every aspect of their face can be manipulated. Their eyebrows can take the craziest shapes, bending in the oddest places where most people can't bend theirs. Bend. Their faces are overall very pliable. They, of course, can be naturally athletic and tend to be endowed with a lot of physical strength, and they do tend to enjoy sports. Mars is the planet of fire, not the light of the soul, which is the sun, nor the fire of intuition, that is Ketu. Instead, Mars is the fire of the intellect, a fire that wishes to arrive at the essence of whatever it is fed. Ever it is fed. Mars in third house is a position that can create an individual of a very high IQ, as one is very quick to understand, very quick to process new information. Mars is a malefic, and so it relates to reduction. And so Mars is highly analytical, or even the most analytical planet, and here its analytical abilities are greatly increased. Funny enough, Mars in the second can take away intelligence, can take away from a person's intelligence somewhat, since Mars is, again, a malefic and so reduces. It can make the native less interested in learning and reading and knowledge acquisition. So Mars in the third house increases intelligence as it increases analytical ability, but Mars in the second may decrease intelligence as it decreases an interest in knowledge accumulation, because it's benefics that accumulates. And so benefics in the second house add to intelligence because they accumulate, but malefics in the third house add to intelligence because they analyze. Right. Mars in the third is extremely good at explaining simple things or explaining things simply because it itself reduces the most complex disciplines into easy to understand steps. All right. A 20-minute live stream. I think this is the record for the shortest live stream that we've had up until this point. Unless, of course, you guys have comments or questions that will be fun for us to explore. His childhood was problematic, okay. I see, Ezra. You know something? Everything that you're describing, Ezra, sounds like it has much more to do with Rahu in the third house than it does with Mars in the third house. Your Rahu is really affecting you in your third house then. I'm very sorry to hear about your sports accidents. May I ask, are your Mars and Rahu conjuncts? What is your relationship? And also, where's the sun in your chart as well? Ah, I see. Mars conjunct Rahu. So sorry. Sleepyhead. I'm not reading very well. What is something that Rahu does in our chart? Something that Rahu does is that because Rahu has to do with novelties and new things, a lot of times it can create a lot of anxiety and paralysis in a person because you're afraid of doing that new thing. You know what I mean? You're very much afraid of doing that new thing. You get into your head a lot about doing that new thing. You get very anxious about doing that new thing. You have a fear of humiliation, a fear of failure related to that new thing. You know, a lot of times when you have Rahu depending on where it's placed, you can overanalyze that new thing before you try that new thing because you want to be good at it before you've even tried it so you don't embarrass yourself. Yeah, a lot of that. A lot of that can happen. Exalted Mars with Venus in D9 chart in third house gives the same results as Spain. Not quite, because the D1 is always much more prominent than the D9. I've heard some astrologers say that after a certain time has passed in your life, the D9 becomes more prominent. Listen, okay, but that has not been what I have seen. Let's stick to D1 interpretations. Mars in Hasta is either neutral or badly placed. So where's your Mercury? Sun in the fourth in Hasta. Well, the mere fact of your having Mars conjunct Rahu, both your Mars and your Rahu are badly placed. And if you have Maga in the third house, that's Leo, third house, then Cancer, then Gemini, ascendants. And so Leo is, I see. Then yeah, your Rahu is especially irritated. When Rahu is very, very badly placed, it really does paralyze us because it stops us from doing new things and it stops us from acting in the world, but it makes us very, very fascinated and obsessive over people who actually do act in the world. Something else that Rahu can do is that it can also provoke a weird sense of resentment and jealousy because it's like instead of you doing things, you're obsessing over other people that do things and you kind of hate them for doing the things that you don't allow yourself to do. You know what I mean? That is something that Rahu can just do in general. Ah, that's very interesting, Ezra. The only way that you get over your fear, I feel like it's almost as if you're saying that you have to literally stop yourself from thinking and just do the thing. And just do the thing. That's very, very interesting. Surely your brother-in-law has Mars in third. So you don't know for sure if he has Mars in third. Okay. Your third lord is Mars and you relate it to description. That's very interesting, Unicorn. This is very, very interesting. It's very, very curious. I wonder what else you might have in your chart as well that might make you. Sure, Blessed. You can make a question out of the box. The part of the live stream that has Mars in third is over anyway, so might as well. Mars in Aquarius in Shatabisha Nakshatra, it could be negative, depends where Saturn is placed. And also, what is the ascendance? I'm very sorry to hear that, Ezra. But yeah, I would strongly suggest you continue doing what you do. Like you said, that you go about things carelessly sometimes, that helps heal you. Maybe not carelessly, but just trying not to get into your head and just doing the thing that you want to do without over complicating it. And also not being too afraid of failure and embarrassment and simply accept that as part of the process. That is one thing about Rahu. Rahu has a very difficult time accepting that failure is part of the process. And Rahu nakshatras like Ardra and Shatabisha especially have a hard time accepting that. So yeah. What is the difference between Moon's intuition and Ketu's intuition? I would say that the difference between Moon's intuition and Ketu's intuition is Ketu is more animal instincts, and Moon is more so. How How do I even begin to describe this? How do I even begin to describe this? I don't even know why I'm even opening Paint. I just feel called to open it. I hope you guys can see it where you are. Okay, you guys can see it, I think. So there are various planes, right? But there is the terrestrial plane that is right here, Earth, and immediately adjacent to it, there's the astral plane, right? The astral plane is said to be of the nature of the moon. This is my moon drawing in case it's confusing. And the astral plane can be accessed in many ways, but it can also be accessed by way of dreams as well. So the moon's intuition has a lot to do with a lunar person, for example, could simply have a dream about somebody that they've never even met, and they can discover a lot about them. But a K2 person, it's less about getting access into this astral plane, and it's more so them personally smelling a person, for example. K2 could just smell a person. K2 could just look at a person and get a sixth sense of what's going on with them, who they are, and things like that. You know what I mean? Whereas for Moon, it's a little bit of a more mental process. For K2, it's more of a instinctual animal process. Yeah, I did not explain that very well, but like along those lines, if you give me some time, I can probably articulate it in a way that it's a little bit more comprehensive, more intelligible. I see the disappointment. All right, I get that. In that case, your Mars is neutral. Sagittarius Lagna, in that case, your Mars is neutral in terms of its. Let me think a little bit. In any case, Mars is very positive for a Sagittarius ascendant. It's one of the more blessed planets for a Sagittarius ascendant. And so wherever it sits is always going to try to do good to the individual. So yeah. Didn't you just say you have a question, Blessed? By the way, you guys, please join my Patreon. And what else do I want you guys to join? What else do I want you guys to do? But in any case, please join my Patreon. Oh, yes, and readings are currently open. For right now, they're currently open. I'll probably close them in like 2 weeks or something. So please get a mini reading if you'd like one. You used to get violent with your little brother. Oh, wow. Okay. But thank you so much for sharing, Serenita. Okay. Serenita. All right, guys, listen. I think 31 minutes is perhaps a good amount of time for us to end the stream, maybe. Ooh, what a story. What a story. The sibling rivalry. No, the full readings are not available. Only the mini readings. $50 mini readings only. The full readings are not here. Not yet. I'm not doing the full readings. I have too many things that I'm doing. Um, yeah, I'm making a new video as well. So yeah, I'm making a new video. Oh, so sorry for yawning. So, are we ready to say goodbye? It's been lovely to be here with you guys. So, yeah. Bye bye then. I really wanted to do this live stream because it's been a long time since I didn't do a live stream. But I was so busy. But I told myself, no, I at least have to do one thing. So I'm here. So I'm here. So I am going to end the stream.